So when you plan a summer vacation with the family, you want it to be fun, relaxing, and memorable.
But sometimes that doesn't always happen. Joining us with tips to set your family trip up for success is Dr. Rebecca Jackson, the Vice President of Programs and Outcomes for Brain Balance. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks. Great afternoon.
So we get really excited to go on vacation, but if you have kids, everyone's going to be happy all the time. It's going to be the best time. And then, it's chaos sometimes. So you have some tips on how to avoid that.
Absolutely. These are moments we spend all year looking forward to. And then we have a tendency to overplan, to try to fit absolutely everything in to those few days. And so when it comes to planning trips and vacations and outings with kids, keeping in mind that downtime is key for everyone's happiness and success, including the parents. When we're spending time out and physically active and our senses are being bombarded, that can actually be really taxing and fatiguing to our brain. And a tired brain has a hard time behaving and cooperating and staying in a good mood. So making sure that you don't overplan and you leave downtime, quiet time for all members of the family within the day is important.
You say stick to a sleeping schedule, which I find very difficult to do on vacation. How do we do that?
It is difficult. And you can give and take a little bit. So if you stay up later one night, keep that in mind for the next day. With kids, it's all about setting them up for success because the whole family does better when everyone's well rested and in a great mood. So find that balance. If you're staying up late one night, then make sure that the kids are getting to bed a little bit earlier the next night. So again, they're in a great mood and can behave and have fun.
And then technology, that's the thing that we're always getting irritated if they're on their screens too much. It's vacation. What kind of rules should we have?
Yeah, set the expectations ahead of time. So in the moment, you're not having that power struggle, that back and forth with your kids. And set the expectation where it's limited time. Technology can actually be extremely fatiguing on all of our brains. And again, the fatigued brain is going to tend to be crabby and more irritable. So use technology at times, maybe if you're on an airplane or in a long car ride, but don't let that technology go longer than about an hour. And then you want to sandwich that technology with physical activity. Movement and engaging your muscles is huge for engaging your brain to help us stay in a more positive frame of mind.
When we were growing up, our vacation was to Atlantic City from New York. So it was like a 3.5-hour drive, but that was eternity for me. So my parents had me play the license plate game where we had to try and find all 50 states' license plates. And that's an activity that kept me busy. You also suggesting activities for the kids.
Absolutely. Things like that are great. And the kids love to engage with you. So maybe you save the technology for the last hour of the trip and you start by doing things like the story game where you do a story thread. So you say, once upon a time, the Jackson family went to Atlantic Beach. What happened? And the family can go around and add on to that story chain. Or you can take a look at street signs and turn them into math games. So if the speed limit is 55 miles an hour, what's 5 plus 5? What's 5 times 5? So there's so many different ways to get creative to pass the time where you're engaging with the kids, you're stimulating their brain, and then saving that technology for the end, not the entire time.
And snacks. Never underestimate the power of food.
Hangry is real and it affects all of us. I think one of the biggest tricks with kids and eating is to stay ahead of the curve. If we wait until they're hungry, it can be bad again for all of us. So keeping snacks on hand and keeping in mind the timing for sugary snacks. We all want ice cream cones and lemonade on our summer vacation, but knowing that when we load our kids up with sugar, their energy is going to skyrocket and then it's going to crash about 2 hours later. So if you're going to do the ice cream cone, time it for right before you're going to be outside and the kids can run around and burn off that energy. Don't do it right before you need them to hold still, sit in a long line, behave at a restaurant. And then thinking about incorporating protein into your snacks throughout the day. Protein helps us stay full longer, so we get less of those hangry moments where our mood and energy crash.
All right, and you just suggested it. My mother used to say to us, get outside, get out and play.
Yeah.
Outside is such a wonderful thing. There's nothing that engages our brain more than our senses and our muscles. So just having time to run around outside in nature, to be barefoot and experience all the different textures and sights and sounds is one of the simplest things it's good for our brains at all ages. So finding opportunity, even that downtime to just be out in nature, it's stimulating your brain by engaging all those senses.
And lastly, if we know that there are trouble spots, if your tense time is the morning where everyone's crabby, and that's probably not the time to, you say, take it easy, let people sleep in a little bit, make that the first activity of the day that has a little flexibility on when you arrive.
Exactly. Be realistic with what you're planning. Everybody's family has the times when everybody's in a great mood and getting along well, and everybody's has those times when things don't go well. So for my family, 13-year-old daughter, getting her dressed, hair and makeup done, and out the door is a long, slow process. And so I'm not going to plan something for 8 a.m. So making sure that first activity of the day for my family doesn't have a hard start time, so we can just kind of go with the flow. So we're not starting the day nagging and yelling.
Thanks, Rebecca. You can learn more about brain balance at brainbalancecenters.com.